I did a segment a few months back about the word bust when it comes to recruiting. A lot of people look at a kid, if he's rated 4 stars, 5 stars, and he doesn't completely meet expectation, he gets labeled a recruiting bust, which in some cases, okay, maybe there was a misevaluation. But to me, Will Fong, you can tell me if you disagree. You're intimately involved in the process. I think far more times than not, especially in modern day where you have so much observation of a kid, so many camp interactions, so much more film, everything about the kid is known, or as much as can be known from a physical standpoint, and that is what a star ranking is, that when a kid ultimately doesn't pan out, if it's grades, that's nothing you guys could have foreseen. If it is an academic situation or maybe an injury situation or a character situation, the character is not something that you guys largely are able to bake in to a star rating. And so I think the word bust is like this one all-encompassing sticker that a lot of people like to put on a kid, whether he fails or succeeds. And in reality, there are several shades of gray to this, are there not?
Well, for me, I more look at it from the team ranking standpoint. Are they busting? Are these teams meeting their potential based on what we're saying their classes are? So if you're a team that's generally recruiting in the top 10, like say USC was, but you're not making the college football playoff every other year, well, then you just aren't maximizing your potential based on your recruiting ranking. But if you do a deeper dive, recruiting is a lot of just filling your own team's needs and making sure your roster is balanced, and so maybe you're striking gold year after year at some skill positions, but at the point of attack you're struggling. And so if you're not addressing that, your recruiting classes are smoke and mirrors. But to go back to your question about the prospect, there's a lot of reasons why a young man won't meet his potential. I feel like we're only judged if the young man goes there and just hits the portal, or doesn't see the starting lineup, doesn't get drafted. I think it's fair to come at us if a guy doesn't meet his potential based on purely just not being good enough to play, and you see that happen, and you see that happen quite a bit, and that's certainly on us to do. We miss there, and that young man is a bust in theory. He certainly got a lot of shine for being a great high school football player and being a touted recruit. And so on the back end of that, if you don't perform, you do get labeled a bust.
But like how often, so I mean, as soon as you, like with the 2021 cycle, you guys slapped the appropriate ratings on those guys, a lot of due diligence, obviously. It's not a hastily done process, but then they go out and they're off the assembly line, they're headed to their respective universities, out of your control now. And so you're going to watch these kids, and you watch on Saturdays just like I do. Number one, how deep into a kid's career normally do you want them to get before you look back on the ranking and said, yep, we nailed that one, or may have missed that one? And then number two, how often do you see maybe a kid not pan out, but you look at it and say, he didn't pan out, but I don't think we missed on him. I think the reasons he didn't pan out are extending and extenuating from what we would have put in a star ranking.
Is a guy like Bo Nix, could he fall into the ladder there? Talking about a young man that will be going into his third different offensive coordinator, third different coaching staff. He's never been comfortable at Auburn, and I know it's easy to nitpick Bo Nix and nitpick an SEC program, but I don't know if Bo Nix has had a fair shake in college yet to maximize the top 100 talent, or the top 100 prospect he was coming in.
But see, like, that's a really good one. So let's go to Nix for a second, because Bo Nix, when he came out of high school, I think it was Hewitt-Trussville or somewhere like that, and he's going to a program at that point in time. Like, Auburn wasn't a mystery. Malzahn wasn't brand new there. Malzahn had yet to fully develop a high school quarterback that he recruited. He had gone the transfer route. Like, Nick Marshall had gotten the job done. Jarrett Stidham, to a degree, had gotten the job done. But he had never taken a kid from the high school ranks, pushed him through his system, developed him, and gotten A-list results out of him. So that wasn't a mystery. So people like me, like I was down in Columbus at the time, I'm watching Bo Nix come in. We're thinking at the time, I watched him play in the state playoffs. I watched him in high school. I knew how good he was. And yet we were looking at Bo Nix and saying, but even with how good we think he is, he's going to a system that if he ends up developing, he will have bucked the entire trend of what's happened at Auburn. So I'm looking at that, and I'm already knowing, I think this kid is every bit the star rating that he should be, but yet I think he may massively underachieve relative to that rating. through no fault of his own when he goes to Auburn. And so, like, I look at Bo Nix, and I think if you guys would have had the exact same rating on him, but he went to play for Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma, I think he'd be a star right now. And that's what I'm talking about with the different factors, different elements that come into play once you go into a college program that no one on the 24/7 Sports Rankings Council could ever foresee, or even if you could foresee it, it would be totally irresponsible to try and factor that into the grade you put on a kid.
Do you propose a system where we rank a kid, drop him after he commits to a school if we don't like the fit for him?
There you go. Well, just a living, breathing star ranking all throughout his college career. That way I can just follow it day by day. I can wake up and see what the Sunday, March 14th ranking for Bo Nix is.